Okay, so I welcome you all to our session number 3 of this RHCSC English Weekends training. In the last session, we have covered the working with directories topic. In this session, we will start with working with files. After that, we will cover working with file contents. Then we will cover Linux file system tree. After that, we will cover the shell expansion, where we will first complete the commands and arguments, then control operators, shell variables, shell embedding and options, shell history, and file globing. So I'll try to cover these topics in this session. Let me mention these topics here as well. So we will start the session with working with files. This would be the first topic of today's session. After that, we will start the topic working with file contents. After that, we will cover Linux file tree. After that, we will start the shell expansion, where we will cover commands and arguments. After that, we will cover control operators, after that we will talk about the shell variables, then shell embedding, and options. After that, shell history, and at the end we will cover the file globing. So this would be the agenda of today's session. Okay, so let me start the session with working with files. In the last session, we have completed working with directories. So let's start the session with working with files. In this session, we are going to learn file command, touch command, rm command, cp command, mv command, and many more. So these are the commands which we are going to cover up in this topic. Now let's start the session with working with files, where we are going to start with ls command first. As you know that Linux is a case sensitive operating system. So what is the meaning of this case sensitive? If I execute the ls command, you can see that there is a file in my home directory with the name as anaconda-ks.cfg. So this file is present because when we do the installation, automatically this file is created in the root home directory. This file can be used for the kickstart installation purpose, which is generally not used nowadays because we are using the virtual machines. As I mentioned earlier, Linux is a case sensitive operating system, which means each file will have a unique name. Let me go to the tmp directory and let me show you the contents. There are some temporary directories available. Let me remove each and everything from this location. So I can execute rm-rf asterisk. So this will delete all the files, all the directories which are present in the tmp directory. I will recommend you never execute this command on the production servers till the time you are very sure. So I will not recommend you this command. We will talk about this command in the upcoming sessions where we will cover it in detail. Let me show you how can we create the empty files. So we can execute the touch command in order to create the empty file. Let me show you. Let me create an empty file with the name as new file .txt. If I execute the ls command, you can list this file. This file is created in the under the tmp directory. If I execute ls-lh, in that case, I can long list it. Long listing means I can see the additional details of this file as well, like the permissions, number of links, owner, group, size of the file, date and time of modification, and the name of the file. So this file is created at 8:05 p.m. on 17th of Feb. Owner is the root and the group is also root. If I will try to see the contents, I can execute the cat command, but there is nothing in this file because this is the empty file. As I mentioned earlier, Linux is a case sensitive operating system. So there will be a unique name for each and every file. If I want to create another file with the same name, what can I do? Instead of small n, I can mention here capital N in the file name, like new file.txt, like this. So my machine will treat both these files as different files. Because it is the case sensitive operating system, it is treating capital N separately and small n separately. In the same way, let me show you with one more example. Let me create a file with the name as A, and let me create another file with capital A name. So both these files are different. It means each file will have a unique name and case sensitivity would be there. Keep in mind, in Linux, everything is treated as a file. Everything is a file in Unix based operating systems. If I talk about Linux, in Linux everything is a file. All the hardware components that we have attached in our machine, those components also we can find in the /dev directory in form of a file. For each and every hardware component, there would be a file present. Let me show you. Let me go to the /dev directory and let me list the contents. There you can file many files in this directory. Let me show you. If I check this NVMe0N1, let me list the details of this file. You can have a look at this. This is a block spatial file. B is mentioned here before the permissions. It means it is a block file. Owner is the root, group is disk, and this is the size. It is showing up here as 0, and the date and time of modification is this, and this is the name. So what type of file it is? It is a block spatial file, which means it is the file here in Linux which is actually responsible for the hard disk. How can I list the disks? I can execute the lsblk command. So this is the disk which I attached in my machine at the time of installation. The size is 40 GB, and where this file is actually present, it is present in the /dev directory. Let me show you where I can show you this file. Let me go to the settings of this virtual machine, and you can have a look at this. This is the hard drive, NVMe type hard drive, which is of 40 GB capacity, which I attached at the time of the installation. So it is the same disk here which is showing up in the output of lsblk command. Same disk is actually showing up in form of a file in /dev directory. So all the hardware components we can check there in the dev directory. So as I mentioned earlier, in Linux everything is a file. Directory is also a file. If you will execute ls-al command in any directory, there you will find dot and double dot. as I mentioned in the previous session, these are the directories. One is for the current directory and double dot is the parent directory. And same you can check here in the permissions also. So what is the role of these directories? These directories are here to tell the system the path of your current directory and its parent. And actually, these are being treated as a file in Linux. So everything in Linux is a file, no matter whether it is a normal file, whether it is a text file, it is a directory, or it is some hardware या block storage file. Everything is a file in Linux. You have to keep it in mind. Someone can ask you in the exam or in the interviews. So Linux treats each and everything in form of a file. So now question arises, how can you identify the type of the particular file? How will you know what type of file it is? Let me show you with an example. As I shown this file anaconda-ks.cfg to you, I want to check what type of file it is. I have no idea about this file. So in order to check the type of this file, I can execute the file command. After the file command, I can mention the name or the path of the file whose details I want to check. So it will show me the type of file. It is the ASCII text. What is the meaning of ASCII text? American Standard Code for Information Exchange. It means it is a normal text file. And you can see the contents of this file by running the cat command. So this is the file which is in the text format. You can easily read the contents, whatever is mentioned in this file. In this similar fashion, you can also check the details of other files. Like if I want to check the details of the NVMe 0N1 file which I shown you before some time, I want to check the details of this file. And I don't want to go to the dev directory. I want to check it from my root home directory only. So I don't need to every time execute the cd command. I can directly use the absolute path. So I'm mentioning here file command. After that, I'm mentioning the absolute path of this file whose details I want to check. You can have a look at this. It is a block spatial file. Block spatial means it is a storage disk file. In the same way, you can check the details of other files as well. Like I want to check the details of where log messages. So it is a Unicode text file. It contains very long lines. In the same way, I can check the details of some other files also, like I want to check the details of etc passwd. It is the ASCII text file. Now let me download a file. Let me execute the wget command. Wget command can be used to download the web pages or any file which is there on the internet. Just mention the URL. After mentioning wget, I can write here Nehra Classes.in. So what it will do, it will download the index.html file from our website. It means it will download the home page of our website. Let me show you. So this is the file which I just downloaded, and it contains the HTML code of my website. If I want to check the details of this file, I can execute the file command for the same. And you can have a look at this. It is the HTML document UTF-8 Unicode text. It contains very long lines. And let me show you where this file is actually present. I will go to GUI. I will show you the file. I will go to the file browser. I will go to the other locations. I will click on computer. I want to go to the root directory. It will ask me because nobody is allowed to go inside root home directory. But since I am having the sudo privileges, I can go. with sudo access. So this is the file which I just downloaded in the root home directory from my command line interface. If I will open it using the Mozilla Firefox, it will load the home page of our website. It will take few seconds, so we have to wait here. So if you are not very sure about the type of the file in Linux, you can simply execute the file command just to check what type of data is there in that particular file. You can easily get or gather that particular information. It will take some time in order to load the page. You can check it on your machine. This is the task for you. It will work in your machine, because in my machine might be firewall is blocking the access. Okay, now let's proceed further. In the same way, you can check it for some other files like JPG files, MP4 files. So you can try this command. As I shown you that we can use the touch command in order to create the files. Let me go to the TMP directory and let me execute the ls-l or ll command. ll means ls-l. It is basically the alias. I will tell you that as well after some time. So these are the files which I created using the touch command. And you can have a look at the timestamp. This is the date and time of modification or creation of the file. If I want to change this time, I can easily do that by executing the touch command. Let me show you. Suppose I want to change the date and time of this file, new file.txt. So what I will do, I will execute the touch command, touch. After that I will mention -t, and after that I will mention the date and time in reverse order. Like I want to set 2020 11 15 8 30 and the name of the file. So this date and time is in reverse order. I am mentioning here 8:30, this is time, 15th of November 2020. So I want to set this time stamp on this file. So I will mention it in the reverse order, and after that I will mention the name of the file. So what it will do, it will change the timestamp. Now have a look at this. New file.txt. The new date and time is 15th of November 2020. So I have set the different timestamp. If I want to change it again, like I want to update or modify it with the current time, I can simply touch the file, touch and the name of the file, and I can verify it again. Let me execute the ls-l command. Now it is changed to the current date and time in the system. So by running the touch command, you can not only create the empty files, but you can also modify the timestamp and you can change it with your current time as well. Touch command can also be used to create n number of files in one go. Like I want to create 50 files with the name as Vikas. So I can mention here Vikas 1.50 and I want to keep the extension as .txt. So what it will do, it will create the files with the name as Vikas1.txt, Vikas2.txt and so on up to Vikas50.txt. Have a look. Can you see it, guys? So this touch command can also be used to create the empty files and to create n number of files in one go in your machine. Now, suppose if you want to remove a file, how can you remove the file? Let me show you. Suppose I want to remove this small a file. I can mention here rm and the file name. Once I will press the enter, it will ask me whether you are really sure you want to remove the file or not. I will mention here yes, and press enter. So it will remove the file. File is gone. In the same way, we can remove the other files also. New file.txt. So actually it is prompting me every time whenever I am executing the rm command to remove the file, it is asking me whether I am sure or not. So why it is happening? It is happening because there is an alias set for the rm command. Rm command is being executed as rm-i. -i means interactive. This prevents the user accidentally removing a file. It is a fail-safe. So this alias is already set in my shell that whenever someone executes the rm command, it will be executed like rm-i. Let me unalias it. Let me remove this alias. Now there is no alias present for the rm command. Let me show you. Suppose I want to remove this new file.txt. rm and the file name. But this time it will not prompt me. System is not asking me whether I'm sure or not. It is just removing the files. In the same way, I can remove the other files also. Like I want to remove all the files which are starting with the name as Vikas. I can mention here rm Vikas asterisk, and all the files which are having the name as Vikas will be gone. So why it is happening? It is happening because I'm executing the rm command, and this time rm command is not prompting because we have removed the alias which was set in the shell. If you want to shed the alias again, you can again execute the alias command for the rm command. Alias rm -i. So we have again set the alias. If I want to remove a file, it will prompt me. But this is temporary. Whatever changes we do, these are temporary. These will remain only on this particular session where we are working. If we want to make it permanent, we have to make an entry in the profile files. What are the profile files? How do we use them? That thing we will cover up in the upcoming days. Now let me create some directories. Let me show you the directories. Suppose I want to remove this AA directory. I can execute rmdir command and I can mention the directory name. So this directory will be gone because this directory was empty. Now what happens if I want to create a file inside the bb directory? So I just created a file under the bb directory with the name as new. So this directory is not empty. If I want to remove this directory, I can not execute the rmdir command. It will not allow me to remove the directory because this directory is not empty. It is having some data in it. Suppose I don't want to care about the data which is present in this directory. I want to remove everything. Whatever is there, I want to remove, erase everything. So what can I do in this case? I can execute rm-rf. Rm means remove, -r means recursively, -f means forcefully. So I can execute this command. It will remove not only the bb directory, but all the contents which are present under it. Like if there are subdirectories or the files, it will erase everything. So -r I am using here for recursive option. Means first it will remove the entire data from it, and after that it will remove the directory. So -r is recursive, -f is forceful. Now I will tell you how can you copy the files. Let me create a file by running the cal command. Actually cal command is used to show the calendar on the terminal. So if I simply execute the cal command, it will print the current month's calendar. If I want to create a file with this command, I can simply use the greater than sign or redirectional operator, and I can mention the file name like this. So what it will do, it will create a file with the name as cal.txt, and this cal.txt file will actually have the calendar of February 2024. I just created a file. Now suppose I want to copy this file cal.txt. I want to copy this file in the same location with a different name. So how can I do that? I can use the cp command. Cp command is used to copy the files. After cp command, I can mention the name of the file, and after that I can mention the destination name. Like I want to copy it in the same location with the name as calendar 2024.txt. Now we have two files. One is cal.txt, which is the original file, and another one is the cal 2024.txt, and both these files will have the same data because we have copied it from the cal.txt. It is actually a duplicate file, but the name is different. In the same way, I can copy the files to some other location. Like I want to copy this cal.txt from tmp directory to root home directory. So what I will do, I will mention the cp command, after that I will mention the source file name, and after that I can mention the destination directory name. If I want to copy it with the same name, I can simply mention /root only. If I want to copy it there with different name, like I want to mention there cal24.txt, so I can give that name and it will be copied to the root home directory, and I can verify the same by running the ls command. Have a look at this. File is copied there. Now suppose file is under some directory or subdirectory. Like I want to create a file here under the dd directory with the name as calendar.txt. So file will be copied, file is created in the dd directory. Let me show you the contents of this file. And I want to copy this file from here to some other location. Like I want to copy it to where log directory. So how can I do that? I will execute cp command. I will mention here cp. After that I will mention the entire path of the file, and then I will mention the destination path like where log, and I can press enter. So it will be copied to that location. But in such cases where we need to copy a file from a directory which is a subdirectory of a different directory, or I want to copy it to a location where the directory is under many other directories, we should use cp-r option. It helps us to copy the files recursively. Since the file was already copied, so it is asking me, if I execute the command again, whether I want to overwrite the file or not. So I can overwrite it. So option -r you can use for the recursive purpose. You can also copy multiple files to a single directory. Let me show you how can you do that. Suppose I want to copy this cal 2024.txt, cal.txt and tmpa add-on from here to the root home directory. How can I do that? I will mention here cp. After that I will mention the name of the files, like I will write here cal.txt, I will write here cal 2024.txt, and the third file name. What was the name of the file? tmp add-on. So I will put the names of all the files which I want to copy, and after that I can mention the destination directory path. So all of these will get copied to the root directory. Have a look at this. So you can also copy multiple files to a same location by using the cp command. If you check the cp command, cp is being used as cp-i in Linux. Now how can you remove, how can you rename the files, or how can you cut and paste the files. Suppose I want to cut this cal.txt file from here and I want to copy it to some other location. How can I do that? I can simply execute the mv command. Mv command is used to move or rename the files. I will mention here mv, then the name of the file, and after that I can mention the destination where I want to move it, and I can also define the new name with which I want to move it there. Like I can mention here 2024.txt. So this file will be moved in the root home directory with the name as 2024.txt. So we have not only moved the file, but we have renamed it as well. Suppose I want to rename this file cal 2024.txt. I can again do it with the help of mv command. So how will you do that? You will execute mv command. After the mv command, you will mention the original file name, and after that you can mention the new file name which you want to set there, and the file will be renamed. Have a look at this. Earlier this file was present with the name as cal 2024.txt. Now it is renamed to cal.txt. You can also rename the directories if you want by using the mv command. Like suppose I want to rename this cc directory. I will mention here mv, then the directory name, and after that I can mention the new directory name. So cc is now renamed to ee. Let me show you with one more example. Let me create another directory. Let me create a directory with the name as Vikas. Have a look at this. This is the directory and I want to rename it. So I will write here mv, then the directory name, and after that I can mention the new name. So I have just renamed the Vikas directory to Nehra. So this was all about the working with files. Now I will request you guys to please visit the page number 91 of the book Linux Fun, which I will provide you. There is a practice exercise given on this page, and you are supposed to practice all the questions which are present there on page number 91 at your own. You don't need to take the help from the solutions. Do it at your own. In case if you get stuck, then you can take the help from the solutions. I will provide you this PDF. Now let's move to the next topic, working with file contents. You have to do it at your own. Working with file contents. Now let me go to the next topic. So we have learned how to work with the directories and how to work with the files. Now I will tell you how can we actually manage the file content. How can we work on the file content? So there we can use multiple commands like head, tail, cat, tag, more, less, strings command. So these are the commands which I'm going to cover up here. Like I can use the cat command, I can use the head command, I can use the tail command. I can also use the tag command. I can use the more command, less command, and strings command. So these are the commands which I'm going to cover up in this session now. Now let me start the session with the head command. Let me start the topic with the head command. As you all know that we have different directories in Linux, and there is a directory etc. It contains the configuration files. In etc directory, there is a file present with the name as passwd. This file actually contains the details of the local user accounts which are present on our machine. If you want to check the details of this file, you can use the cat command. So all the local user accounts or the service accounts which are present in our machine, it will show all the details there in this file. Like I created a user here in this machine with the name as Vikas Nehra. So username is there. This is the password option. This is the user ID of the user. This is the group ID of this user. This is the comment, means the display name. This is the home directory, and this is the default login shell for this user. We will go in the details of the passwd file in the user management section, so you don't need to worry about it now. Now let's come back to the file content. If I want to check only the 10 lines, how can I only check the first 10 lines of this file? If I execute the cat command, it shows all the lines which are present in this file. I'm not concerned about the entire details. I want to check only first few lines or first 10 lines. So I can simply execute the head command, head and the file name. So it will only print the first 10 lines by default. So head command is actually responsible for showing the first 10 lines of a file or first n lines. In case if you want to check only first 5 lines, you can mention here head-5. In that case, it will only show us the first 5 lines. In this similar fashion, if I want to check the first 15 lines, I can mention here head-15. It will show me the first 15 lines of etc passwd. So head command only shows the n number of lines from the beginning of the file. In the same way, if I want to check the number of lines from the bottom, so what can I do? I can use the tail command. So what the tail command will do? Tail command will open and print the last 10 lines by default. So these are the last 10 lines of etc passwd. In the same way, we can check the n number of lines from the end. Like I want to check the last 5 lines. I can mention here tail-5 and the name of the file. So these are the last 5 lines of etc passwd. In the same way, if I want to check the last 8 lines, I can mention here tail-8 etc passwd. So this time it will print the last 8 lines of etc passwd file. So head command is used to print the first n lines. Tail command is used to print the last n lines. Now let's proceed further. By running the cat command, we can see the details which are present in any file. Means this command can be used to print the entire content of a file. Like if I want to check the details of resolve.conf, I can execute the cat command for the same. So it is printing all the 3 lines which are present in this file. So what is the meaning of cat command? Cat stands for concatenation. Concatenation or concatenate, you can call it. What is the meaning of this concatenate? So it is not only used to see the details or see the content of a file, it can also be used to create the files. How can you do that? Let me show you. Let me create a file with the cat command. Let me go to the tmp directory first. Let me show you how can we use the cat command to create the files. So we will mention the redirectional operator. We can mention the greater than sign, and after that we can mention the name of the file that we want to create. Let me mention the name as file.txt. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create a file with the name as file.txt by using the cat command. After the cat command, I'm mentioning the redirectional operator or the greater than sign and the name of the file. After that, once I press the enter, the cursor will move to the next line and it will actually ask us to print, type the data that we want to save in our file. Like I want to write here hello world. This is the third session of RHCSA. So whatever we want to mention, we can mention mention it here. And once we are done and we want to come out, we can press Ctrl and D. So we will come out of this file, and the entire lines which we have mentioned so far, those will get saved in this file. Have a look at this. So cat command can also be used to create the files. So in this way, it can be used for the concatenation purpose. Echo command can also be used to create the files. Like, suppose I want to print hello on screen. I can write here hello and I can use the echo command. So whatever we mention after the echo command, that gets printed on the screen. Suppose I want to save it in a file. So whatever we want to save in a file, for that we can use the greater than sign and we can mention the file name, hello.txt. So this hello all will get saved in this hello.txt file. So hello command can also be used not only to print the string on the screen, but it can also be used to create the files with some data. Now let me give you one more example. Let me write here echo 1 and I want to save it in a file with the name as part 1. I will write here echo 2 that I want to save in a file with the name as part 2. Let me write here echo 3 and I want to save it in part 3 file. So I created 3 files, part 1, part 2 and part 3. Now let me show you the contents. Part 1 contains 1, part 2 contains 2 and part 3 contains 3. If I want to open all of these in one go, I can write here part 1 after the cat command. After part 1 I can mention here part 2, I can mention here part 3. So cat command will perform its operation on the all 3 files and it will show the entire data which is present in these files on the screen. So by using the cat command, we can open multiple files in one go. So as I mentioned earlier, this redirectional operator or the greater than sign, we can use to create the files or to send the data in a file which was displayed earlier on the screen. So cat command is having the multiple uses. In the similar fashion, this greater than sign can also be used to create the files. Now we will talk about the custom end marker. Let me give you one more example of creating the file by using the cat command first. Suppose I want to create a file with the name as vikasnehra.txt and I want to write here, hi, my name is Vikas Nehra and I want to save this data in this file. So I will simply go in the next line and press Ctrl D to come out. I will execute the cat command on the vikasnehra.txt file to verify these changes. You can see the data there. I have created the file. Now if I execute the cat command again with the same greater than sign on the same file, and this time I mention some other data, like I write here, please subscribe Nehra Classes, and I save it. So what will happen? Whatever data was there in the file before running the command will get erased. So this redirectional operator or this greater than sign will not only save the current data, but it will override the existing data that was present in the file. So it do not retains the data that was already present in the file. So we cannot use this greater than sign in such cases where we want to keep the existing data safe. So what we need to do if we don't want to override the existing data? In that case, we can use double greater than signs. So this we can use to append the text. Double greater than sign means we want to append. Let me mention another text here, like I can write here Nehra classes are awesome. So let's verify the changes. This time it will not override the existing data. This time it will append the text that I mentioned in the previous command. So it will not only keep the previous data safe, but it will also append the data that we want to add in this file. Now let me talk about the custom and marker. So as I shown you, in case if we want to use the cat command to create the files, we manually come out from the cat command prompt by pressing the Ctrl D on the keyboard. Let me show you with an example. Let me create a file with the name as file.txt. Let me write here, hi, how are you? And I want to save these changes. So currently I am under the cat command. I am working in the cat command. So in order to come out of this cat prompt, I will manually press the Ctrl D here. So every time when I use the cat command to create the file, I manually press Ctrl D there to come out of the cat command prompt. So in many cases, especially if I talk about scripting or if you want to do some automation, there you cannot manually press Ctrl D. In that case, how will you come out from this cat command prompt? So for that you can use custom and marker. What is the meaning of this custom and marker? Let me show you. I want to create a file by running the cat command, and let me mention the file name as hot.txt, and here I will mention the custom and marker. So I will write here double less than signs, and I will write here stop or any text or any string. Let me put the data in this file. It is very hot today. Yes, it is summer. And if I want to come out, I don't need to manually press Ctrl and D here. I can simply write here stop. So whatever string we mention here in form of custom and marker, that will be used to come out of the prompt of this cat command, like this. Since we mentioned here stop, so after mentioning the stop here in the line, it will simply save the lines which were mentioned by us previously, and it will allow us to come out of the cat command prompt. Now let me show you the contents of hot.txt. So all the lines are present in this file which we mentioned before running the stop there. So before this stop string, everything is saved in this file. So this feature is called as the custom and marker. In the same way, we can use some other custom and marker here. Like, let me create a file with the name as cold.txt. And let me mention the custom and marker as out. It is very cold today. So I want to come out. I don't need to press Ctrl and D. I can write here out. So it will allow me to come out of the prompt of this cat command, and the data will be saved. We can do one more thing with the cat command. We can copy the files as well, because cat command actually works with the file contents. So it can also be used to create another files. Let me show you. We created a file here with the name as cold.txt. This is the file. I want to copy this cold.txt file with another name. How can I do that? I will simply use the cat command to open the file first. After that, I can redirect the output to some other file. Let me mention here winter.txt. So what it will do, it will first open the file. Whatever details it will find in this file, those details or those data will be redirected towards this winter.txt. So in short, it will create another file with the name as winter.txt, and this winter.txt will have the same data. So there are multiple uses of cat command. Cat command can be used to create the files. Cat command can be used to open the files. Cat command can also be used to copy the file contents. Okay. Now let me create another file with the name as count. Let me write here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I want to come out. So in this count file, we have written 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If I want to open the file contents in the reverse order, like if I execute the cat command, what happens? It prints the lines in the same order as they are there in the file. In case we want to reverse the order, we don't want to make changes in the file, but we want to print them in the reverse order on the screen. So in that case, we can execute the tag command. Tag is the opposite of cat. It is used to print the lines in the reverse order. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So tag command can be used to print the lines which are there in the file in the reverse order. Now I will talk about the strings command. Let me go to the /bin directory. If I execute the ls command here, you will find some files which are the binary files like grep, zgrep. So what type of files these are? These are the binary files. If you want to check the contents by executing the cat command, you cannot read the contents because these are the binary files. So these are not readable by default. Binary files are the programs which are there for the execution of commands. The commands that we execute on Linux, these are working because the binary files are present and the libraries are present in our machine. The binary file is a program. It contains some text as well. If we want to see the details of the text which is present in this binary file, we cannot use the cat command. How can we check the contents of a binary file? We can execute the strings command for that. Strings, and we can mention the name of the file. So a strings command will show the text that is readable in this binary file. So any binary file can be viewed, or any binary file contents can be viewed with the help of the strings command. Now I will request you to please go through the practice exercise given on the page number 99, and on the page number 100 solutions are given of the same PDF, Linux Fun. I will provide you this PDF. You don't need to worry. Solutions are also given. So this is the homework for you. After completing today's session, you can go through it at your own. Now let's move to the next topic, which is Linux file tree. What is the meaning of this file tree? File tree means how the files and directories are organized on a Linux machine. So as I mentioned earlier in the previous sessions, this slash is the root directory or the home directory of all the directories, or the parent directory. So everything is there under this root directory. Root directory is the parent directory or the top level directory in Linux. If I execute the ls command for this, you can find the subdirectories there. So this AFS, boot, etc, lib, media, everything is there under the root directory. You can see the entire file system tree or the directory tree by running the tree command. You can write there tree and slash. It will print the entire tree in the tree format like that we create for our generations family tree. In the same fashion, Linux has the tree command which can be used to see the file system tree or the file tree in Linux. There are thousands of files, so it will take time. Suppose you are new, you have no idea about the Linux file tree. Now you can go through the manual. You can execute man hire command. Hire means hierarchy. You can execute man hire. Man hire will actually help you to get the details of all the directories and files which are present in your machine. Let me open another terminal here so that I can show you this at the same time. So these are the typical directories which are available on the RHEL9 machine. On other flavors, some of the directories will be present there because these are the common directories that we find in Linux. Some directories will be not available on the different flavors. So if you want to check the details of these files, what can you do? You can simply execute the man hire command. Man hire command will help you to open the manual of the file system tree. Description of the file system hierarchy. You can check. What is the meaning of root directory? This is the parent directory. It is the universe of Linux. So Linux file system tree starts with slash or the root directory. So this slash is the root directory. Then comes bin slash bin. So we are talking about this one, slash bin. What is slash bin? This directory contains the executable programs which are needed in single user mode and to bring the system up and repair it. So what is the role of this bin directory? Bin directory contains the executable programs or the binary files which are generally used by us if we want to repair our machine and we want to boot our machine in the single user mode. Then comes slash boot. So what is the role of this slash boot? This slash boot contains the static files for the bootloader. This directory holds the files which are needed during the booting process. So slash boot contains all the files which are required at the time of booting. The map installer and the configuration files should go to sbin and etc. The operating system kernel must be located in the either slash or slash boot. Init rd. I will talk about the init RAM disk in the upcoming days. So slash boot directory contains all the files which are required at the time of booting. Then comes the dev directory. This one. Slash dev is the directory which contains special or device files. Device files which are available in form of physical devices on our machine like hard disk, like terminals. So all those devices will be present in the dev directory in form of files. Then slash etc. As I told you earlier, slash etc contains the configuration files which are local to the machine. So in case if we want to make some changes in the configuration files, we will go to this location and we will accordingly open the file and make the changes there. So etc contains the configuration files. Then comes etc opt. So this manual actually helps you to go through not only with the directories but the subdirectories as well. So under etc you will find opt. So it contains host specific configuration files for add-on applications. So this directory is under this etc. Under etc you will find opt. So we will not go in the details of the subdirectories as of now. We will only go with the directories which are there in the root directory. So we will cover these in the upcoming sessions. You don't need to worry. Now we will go to /home. So this one. /home contains the home directories for the normal user accounts that are present in our machine. Like we have the account for the Vikas Nehra user. So Vikas Nehra is a normal user and the home directory of the Vikas Nehra user would be under the /home. Now we will talk about the /lib directory. This directory holds the shared libraries that are necessary to boot the system and to run the commands in the root file system. So this /lib directory actually contains the libraries. Libraries are the supportive files that are used when we boot the machine or when we execute the commands on the root file system. So at that time, some library files are used while executing the command. So these are the supportive files for those commands. And there are two types of library files like lib and lib64. So 32-bit libraries are in this /lib and 64-bit libraries are under this lib64. Now the next is media. This one. This directory contains the mount points for the removable media such as DVD or CD or the USB sticks. The removable storage that you want to attach in your machine, so where it will get mounted? It will get mounted on the /media directory. Like if you want to attach CD or DVD or USB sticks, so those will be automatically mounted on the /media directory so that you can go through the contents of these removable storages. So you can use the media directory for the same. Now we will talk about the MNT directory. This one. This directory is the mount point for temporarily mounted file systems. So MNT directory can be used in case if we want to mount some file system on a directory just to go through the details or the data which is there in the file system. Like if I attach a disk which is having some data. So from the command line interface, how can actually I check the data which is there in the storage? So I will mount it somewhere. So in that case, I can mount it on the MNT directory or any other directory. So by default, Linux provides us the facility of MNT directory so that we can mount any file system or any storage on it, and we can check the content or we can copy or paste the data there accordingly. So MNT is used as the temporarily mounted file system in the Linux machines. Now, after this, we will talk about the OPT directory. OPT directory contains the add-on packages that contains the static files. Suppose if we want to install the additional softwares in our machine, so for that purpose, we can use the OPT directory. Like in Windows, we use the program files directory or program files folder, which is the by default location of the packages which we install in our machine, especially on Windows. In the similar fashion, if we want to install a software, we can use the OPT directory for that. Now we will talk about the proc directory. Proc directory is the mount point for the proc file system, which provides the information about the running processes and the kernel. So proc directory contains the files which are directly linked to the processes, and these are managed by the kernel. So the files which are there in the proc directory are directly getting updated from the kernel itself, and those are related to the running processes in the system. So proc contains the files which are related to the processes. Then /root, this one, /root. /root contains the home directory of the root user. It is the home directory of the root user. The root user can keep their data in this /root directory, which is the home directory for him. Then some more directories are there like run. So this directory contains the information which describes the system since it was booted. So /run can be used to gather the information about when it was booted. So it contains those files which have that particular information. So this directory contains the information which describes the system since it was booted. Once the this purpose was served by /var/run, and the programs may continue to use it. So this is generally not touched by the Linux admins till the time it is required. It contains the system boot information. Now let's move to the next directory, /sbin. This one. /sbin is like /bin. This directory contains the commands or the binaries which are executed by the super users or the system binaries. This file contains the super user binaries. Super user binaries are the programs which are used by the root user or the admin user. Like this directory contains the files for the programs of those commands which are executed by the admin user or the root user. Like those commands which are used for the administration purpose. For those commands, it contains the programs or the binary files. So this is also known as the system binary. System binary means it contains all the programs which are executed by the root user or the super user or the admin user. Then comes the SRV directory. SRV directory contains the site specific data that is served by this system. It is just like a cache. You can use it for different purpose also. After that, we will talk about the sys directory. This is a mount point for the sysfs file system which provides information about the kernel like /proc, but better structured following the formalism of k-object infrastructure. So what is the use of sys directory? Sys directory provides the information about the kernel. It is used for the information about the kernel. After that comes the tmp directory, this one. This directory contains the temporary files which may be deleted with no notice, such as by a regular job or by the system boot up. So tmp contains the temporary files. It cannot be used to save the data. Files under the tmp directory can be deleted anytime by running any task, or it may be due to the system reboot. Once the system boots up or we reboot the system, there are chances that the data in the tmp directory may get deleted. So we cannot use the tmp directory to contain the permanent data or the important data. It is just for the temporary purpose, like if we want to unzip something or if we want to create the test files, we can use this directory. One more thing, this directory contains the sticky bit. By default, sticky bit is applied on this directory. What is the use of sticky bit? We will study in the upcoming sessions. But let me tell you, sticky bit is the additional feature which actually helps you so that you cannot delete the files of the other users. It is for the protection purpose, because tmp is used by everyone. So that's why the sticky bit is by default present on this directory. Then comes the USR. What is the role of this /USR? This directory usually mounted from a separate partition. It should hold the shareable read-only data so that it can mounted by various machines running Linux. So it contains shareable read-only data. Sometimes we use the binary files also which are present in the /USR/bin. After that, we can go to USR bin. Under this USR, you can find the bin directory also. So this is basically the shortcut for the bin in this location, nothing else. Now let's move to the next directory. I think we have covered all the important directories here. Now Next is the where. This one. What is the role of this where directory? This directory contains the files which may change in size, such as logs. So slash where contains the logs about different programs or the system or different events that are occurring in the machine. Where contains the files which are responsible for the logs. So this was all about the file system tree. I will request you, please go through the manual once more so that you can get the better information about your system file system tree. Now let me go to the next topic. There is no practice exercise for it. You have to go through the manual only. Just execute man hire and please check the details of all the directories which are showing up there. Now we will talk about the shell expansion. And here, first of all, we will talk about the commands and arguments. How system identifies whether it is a command or the argument. Let me show you this with an example. Let me execute the echo command. So as I mentioned earlier, whatever we mention after the echo command, that gets printed on the screen. Let me write here London. So in the same way, it is available on the screen as we mentioned it in the command. And let me write here echo, how are you? So no matter what we write after the echo command, that gets printed on the screen as it is. So how this shell is actually doing it? So what is happening at the back end of the shell? How this shell is able to identify whether it is command or argument and how it should be processed. So one of the primary feature of the shell to perform the command line scan. Whatever we mention on the command line, shell scans it. After that, once you press the enter, the command at shell's prompt and you press the enter key, the shell starts scanning the line, cut it up in the arguments. While scanning the line, the shell may make changes to the argument you type. Like I executed here echo, how are you? So what is happening at the back end? Shell is actually cutting it into different arguments after scanning and then processing it according to its programming as it is programmed. Like let me show you this with an example. I write here echo hello world. So that gets printed as it is. But what happens if I write here echo hello and then I give multiple white spaces and I write here world. So in both the cases, there are no changes in the output. How the shell is able to identify that there should not be any white spaces between hello and world more than one. It is only considering the first white space. It is ignoring the other white spaces which are present in between hello and world. So what is happening at the back end? Shell is actually breaking it down into multiple arguments and then executing this. In case if I want to print it as it is, so I have to tell the shell that please do not ignore the white spaces. So for that, I will have to enclose this statement with the help of the quotes. If I will put it in between the quotes, then it will include the white space also. In that case, it will be printed as it is. Or we can also enclose it with the double quotes as well, like this. Either we can use the single quotes or we can use the double quotes, but there is a difference between these two. The difference is for the variables that I will tell you in the upcoming sessions. Or let me show you. Suppose there is a variable. Let me create a variable. Let me write a variable value as 400. I defined the variable. I want to print the value of this variable. I will write here echo $var. So it will print the value of this variable. So var is a variable which contains the value of 400. And if we want to print the value of this variable, we can execute the echo command, echo $ and the variable name. What happens if we enclose this in single quotes? It gets printed as it is. In this case, it is not printing the value of the variable. But if we enclose it with double quotes, in that case, it prints the value, not the variable name. So single quote is used to print the statement as it is on the screen, while the double quotes are used to print the value in case the variables are there. Let's proceed further. There are some other options available with the echo command, like the new line character or the tab space. In case if we want to use them, we can execute the echo command with the option -e. Echo -e can be used for the extra options that we want to include. Like I can write here a line with a new line. If I execute this command without option -e, it gets printed as it is. But if I want to include a tab space here after this A, for that I will have to mention option -e here, and before this A or where we want to put the tab space, we can put backspace and we can mention here T. T means tab space. So it will give a tab space where we have mentioned \T. If we will do it without using option -e, it will get printed as it is. So this backspace T or the tab space, if we want to include it, we have to use option -e with the echo command. I will take the comments at the end. Please note down. In the same way, we can also use the new line characters. Like I want to print the remaining characters in the new line. So I can mention here \n. \n will break down this line into another line. It will split the line. So these special characters are only available if we use option -e with the echo command. This we use in shell scripting. Now let's proceed further. Now if I talk about the commands, these were the arguments which I shown you, example of the arguments. I will talk about the commands. So there are two types of commands: external commands and built-in commands. Built-in or the shell defined commands. There are two categories. Either the command is defined in the shell or it is defined somewhere else. Suppose I want to check whether the cd command is the shell built-in command or it is the external command. How can I check that? I can execute type. This type command will help us to understand whether the command is shell built-in or external. Let me write here type cd. It will tell us that cd is a shell built-in command. In the same way, let me do it for the passwd command. So passwd is the external command or it is defined somewhere else. So actually there is a program in the /usr/bin with the name as passwd. So this is the file which is actually responsible for the execution of this passwd command. So passwd is not defined in the cell itself. It is an external command. It is an external command. That's why it is showing up here as that passwd is /usr/bin/passwd. So in order to check the type of the command that you are using, you can execute the type command and you can go through the manual as well. So there you can get the better clarity. This type command is used to check the type of the command, whether it is shell built-in or whether it is external. Let me show you with one more example. I want to check whether the cat command is shell built-in or external. So cat is the hashed. It is present here. Let me do it with ls command. So this is the alias. We have already set the alias for the ls command. Let me check for the ll command. It is also aliased. Let me do it for some other command like lsblk. Sorry, I have to write here type lsblk. So it is hashed, means the binary file is present in this location. It is not defined in the cell itself. So by running the type command, we can check the type. Like I want to check the pwd command. Pwd is a shell built-in command. You don't need to go on the binary file. So how do we actually execute the external commands? For executing the external commands, what we need to do, we need to actually mention the entire path of the binary file. Like suppose I want to execute the passwd command to change or set the password. So I simply write here passwd. It will prompt me for changing the password. How it is getting executed? It is not an inbuilt command. Shell doesn't know what is the path of the program from where to execute the file for this command. Since it is not defined in the shell itself, how system is identifying the path? Ideally, what should have been done? We should have executed the command like this: usr bin passwd. In the older versions, like in RHEL4, RHEL5, RHEL6, or in other distributions like Solaris or Unix, we used to mention the path like this for the external commands. We tell the system from where to execute the program. This is the actual location of the file from where this command is getting executed. So this command can also be executed here also. But here in the modern machines, we don't need to define the entire path of the external commands. So how the system is actually identifying from where to execute this command, which binary file to execute for this particular command? This is actually being done by the path variable, echo $path. This path variable is responsible to tell the system from where to execute the binary file. So it will look in the root home directory, in this location, in this location. So all these locations are included in the path variable. So system will check whether the binary file is there or not. If file is there, then it will execute the command. So in case of the external commands also, system knows the path because of the path variable. So how will you check what is the path for this command? That can be done by running the which command. Like which passwd. So system knows the path. This is the path for the which command. This is the location of the binary file. Like I can execute which ls. So ls is aliased and the location is this. From here to execute the ls command. In the similar fashion, lsblk. System knows the path because the binary file is located in this location. Let me remove the file. 1 minute. Let me show you. Suppose I want to execute the passwd command. I can mention either this entire path or I can mention passwd. So let me remove this from here. Let me move it from here to tmp directory. I want to move this binary file from here to the tmp directory. Let me show you. I just moved this binary file from usr bin to the tmp directory. Now, if I execute which passwd, system is actually not able to find the location. Let me execute the passwd command. It is giving the error because system doesn't know the location has been changed. We have changed the location of the binary file of the program from where the command was getting executed. System is not able to recognize the path because we have moved it in some other location. So what can we do here in this case? We have to put it back in the same location with the same permissions. Or we have to tell the system that please look for the binary file in this location. So we have to make changes in the path variable. We don't need to do it. You should never touch the path variable till the time it is very much required. Let me again move it back from tmp directory to its original location, which was usr bin. Now let's execute the passwd command again. It's working now. System is able to identify the location of this file. So this is the beauty of Linux. What is the meaning of alias? You can execute a command with a different name by using the alias. As I shown you earlier, that rm command was getting executed as rm-i. So this is the alias which is already set for the rm command. If you want to check all the aliases that are available on your shell for you, you can execute the alias command. Alias command will show you all the available aliases which are present for the commands. And from where these are loaded in the system? These are loaded from the profile files. What are the files? There you will find bash profile, bash rc. These are the files here. We will talk about these files in the upcoming sessions. Have a look at this. Bash rc, this is the profile file of the root user. So from here, these aliases are getting loaded in the shell environment, and this is permanent because every time whenever you will log in the shell, this file will get executed and it will load the variables there. It will load the aliases there. It will load the everything which is there in this file. So how can you set the alias? If you want to set the alias, you can simply execute the alias command. Let me show you this with an example. Like I want to open a file by running the cat command. So where log messages is the file which I want to open by running the cat command. I am able to read the contents. Suppose I want to execute the cat command with a different name. I want to use the dog string for it. Like I want to use this dog command in place of cat command. How can I do that? I can set the alias. Alias dog is equal to cat. Simple. Now, if I execute the alias command, you can see dog there for the cat command. Now, let me execute the dog command again. Dog. Dog command will work in the same way, similar to the cat command. And why it is possible? Because the alias is set. If we want to remove the alias, we can simply execute the unalias command. Unalias dog. Alias has been removed. Now, if we execute the dog command again, it will show us the command not found. But this is temporary. Let me show you. Again, let me set the alias. I have set the alias. I can execute the dog command. It is opening the file as well. If I go out from the shell and re-log in back, you will find that this command will not work. It will again say command not found because the changes that you made on the shell were temporary. Those changes were not permanent. So how can you make the changes permanent? You have to make an entry in the profile files, in the bash rc file. Just go at the end of this bash rc file and you can set the alias there. Dog equals to cat. Like this. So what I am going to do here, I am going to make an entry for this. I have saved the changes, but these changes are not loaded. If I execute the dog command, it will not work. So what are the options to load this variable or the changes that have you made in the bash rc file? Either you have to log out and relog in back, or you can execute the file. Let me log out and relog in back. I just logged out and logged in again. Now let me execute the dog command again. So this time we don't need to set the alias manually. System is able to read the bash rc file and it is loading everything which is present in the file. So this is the alias option that we can use to run the commands with different names. Now I will talk about the shell expansion. How can you display this shell expansion? Whenever we execute the commands, we see the output only. Command we put on the shell prompt, and accordingly we get the output on the screen. But in case if we want to display the shell expansion, what can we do? We can execute set-x. Set-x will expand the shell. This time if we will execute any command, it will not only show you the output, but it will also show you the input. Like first it will show you the command that have you entered on the shell. After that, it will show you the output of the command like this. It will also print the shell prompt details. So these are the things which are on the shell prompt. So what is the role of the shell expansion? It not only displays the output of the command, but it also displays the command that have you given as an input, and it also prints the shell prompt details. How can you disable it? Simply execute set plus x. This time set plus x will remove the shell expansion. Now you are requested to please go on page number 131 of the same Linux Fun PDF, which I will provide you. And you need to practice the questions which are present there. Solutions are also provided. So that's it from my side for today's session. Now you guys can raise your hands if you have any questions. I will take the questions one by one. Those who are having the doubts or those who want to ask anything, they can ask. Just raise your hands. I will read out your names and accordingly you can respond. So the first question is from Mr. Mohammed Saeed Ali. Yes, you can ask the question, please. Mr. Mohammed Saeed Ali. Do you have any questions? Mr. Bharat Pawar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Sir, yes, sir. As you have taught us, ev everything is file in Linux, right?
Yes.
So if there are some files with the same name and at the same and in one only using one command, if I rename all four or five files, so how I can do that?
You want to
What will be
rename
the command?
multiple files in one go.
Right, one go.
You can use the for loop for that. I will tell you
Okay,
in the upcoming days
okay,
how to perform a single
sure,
operation on multiple files. You can use the for loop for that. I will cover it. You don't need to worry about.
sure.
Since I
Okay,
will
sir. Okay,
go in the details of the conditional operators and loops once I will
right,
teach you the shell basics first. Okay.
right. Okay,
Not
sir.
only to
Okay,
rename
thank
the
you.
files, but to perform the other operations also. Like if you want to execute a single command on multiple files, you can easily do that by using the for loop.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Ajay, you can ask your questions.
Hi, sir. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, sir. Sir, in, in which folder or in which directory we can find the system boot logs?
System
In
bootable
which folder we can find that? Yeah.
system
System boot logs.
system
System boot logs. Boot log.
logs we will cover up in the upcoming days. I will tell you.
Okay.
There is a general file
Mhm. Mhm.
where log messages. It contains the logs related to all type of programs. Okay, so here also you will find the details of the logs. If you exclusively go through the details
Mhm.
of any particular program logs, so there are multiple files in this location under the where directory. There are different subdirectories present, like crash. Under crash you will find the crash logs, db related logs, database related logs, account related logs, cache related. So all these are the subdirectories of where. So under these subdirectories you will find different type of files which are related to that particular program or operation. So you can get the logs from there. There are some other commands also that we use to check the logs, like dmasg. So it will print the boot time related logs. So these
Okay,
things
sir.
we will
Means,
cover up once we will go on
it's
the
a boot
log
time.
session. Le-
Okay.
Let me go on the session first. When I will teach you the logs management, then I will cover all those things. You don't need to take tension.
Yes, sir. Fine, sir.
Okay. Mr. Deepak, you can ask the
Thank
question.
you.
Welcome. Deepak,
Okay, good. Sir, I want to ask one question about this cell expansion. This is fine. We can do
as I
this one.
shown you,
Yeah. I mean, what is the usage of it actually?
there are
That's
no
fine that
uses.
we can.
There are no uses.
Okay.
It is for
Okay.
you, for your understanding. In the beginning, we are
Okay.
not able to actually recognize what is the output of which command. Like I execute the cal command, so I'm able to
Yeah.
understand that this is the output of cal command. But in cases if there are multiple commands, so sometimes it is very confusing for us.
Okay.
So how will you identify which is the output of which command? Here we are able to
That's it.
understand it is being executed in the same order, but many times
Okay.
if we use the control operators there, so it creates a lot of problem for us. So in that
Okay.
case we can use the shell expansion. Like now you can execute it. So it will help us to check that this command was executed and this is the output of this command, this is the output of this command. So like that.
Okay. So this is the only usage.
It is not
Okay.
important for the exam. You don't need to
Not.
worry about it. Okay.
Yeah. Only the context I want to
But you should
understand.
know
That's fine.
what is shell expansion.
Yeah. Exactly. And
Okay.
I want to understand that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Arshad, you can ask your questions.
Yes, sir. So my query is like, if we delete a file or folder in Linux, so can it be recoverable? Like, do we have any option like a recycle bin as we have in
Yes.
Windows? Like,
Good question. If you do it from GUI, actually nobody will teach you this thing. Generally, we don't use GUI in Linux. Being Linux admins, we are able to use the command line interface only. We are not supposed to use it. You can delete the file or folder from the command line interface. You can simply move it to trash. Like this. So if you move it to trash, then you can recover it. But if you delete a file or folder by running the rm command or rm-rf command, in that case you cannot recover it in case if you don't have the backup. Either the backup should be there or there are some tools which must be installed and running on the system for the recovery purpose. By default, it is not possible to recover any deleted file or folder in Linux. If it is deleted by
Okay.
the command line interface, it is gone.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, go ahead. Next is Rajesh. राजेश पूछ लो जो भी पूछना है आपको.
Yes, sir. Sir, can you mention how can I set alias?
एलियास कैसे सेट कर सकते हैं? देखो,
Yes.
एलियास कमांड लगाओ ऐसे. जैसे मैं लिख देता हूँ राजेश. राजेश का मतलब है LSBLK. तो मैं राजेश लिखूंगा, वो
Yes.
LSBLK की तरह काम करेगा. मैंने सेट कर दिया. अब देखो,
Yes.
ठीक है. ये है टेम्परेरी.
Okay.
आप लॉग आउट करोगे, हट जाएगा. अगर आपको इसको परमानेंट करना है तो आपको इसकी एंट्री करनी होगी अपनी होम डायरेक्टरी में मौजूद bash rc फाइल के अंदर जाकर. लास्ट में जाइए, यहाँ लिखिए एलियास, और जो भी आपको एलियास सेट करना है वो आप यहाँ सेट कर दीजिए. मेक श्योर कीजिएगा कि आप पहले वो टेक्स्ट लिखेंगे जिसको आप सेट करना चाहते हैं, और जिस कमांड के लिए लिखना चाहते हैं वो बाद में लिखेंगे. सेट हो
Okay,
गया.
sir.
अब हम लॉग आउट करके
Yes.
लॉगिन कर सकते हैं. जैसे ही हम लॉगिन करेंगे ये ऑटोमेटिकली काम करना शुरू कर देगा, क्योंकि ये जो bash rc फाइल है, जब आप लॉगिन करते हैं तो ये फाइल ऑटोमेटिकली एग्जीक्यूट हो जाती है. देखो, अब ये हर बार काम करेगा जब तक हम इसको हटा नहीं देते.
Okay, sir. Got it.
टेम्परेरीली इसको हटाना है क्योंकि ये ऑलरेडी लोड हो चुका है, तो भी हटा सकते हो. कैसे? देखो, राजेश ऑलरेडी यहाँ अवेलेबल है आपके शेल पर. आप इसको अनलियास
sir.
कर दो तो ये हट जाएगा टाइम बिंग के लिए.
Alias.
हट गया. अब ये काम नहीं करेगा. लेकिन अगर आप लॉग आउट करके दोबारा लॉगिन करोगे तो ये फिर से काम करना शुरू कर देगा. क्यों? क्योंकि ये परमानेंट था, ये फाइल के अंदर था. अब फाइल के अंदर से वापस आ गया है, दोबारा लोड हो गया हमारे शेल के एनवायरनमेंट में. लो, तो ये तब तक करता रहेगा जब तक इसको फाइल से, यानी कि इसकी जड़ से ना आप निकाल दो. गॉट इट?
Yes, sir. Got it.
ओके.
तो सर इसको फोर्सफुली रिमूव कर सकते हैं ना?
फोर्सफुली की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है भाई, आराम से हो जाएगा. फोर्सफुली तो तब करते हैं जब कोई चीज़ करने से होना रही हो.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
यस. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज फ्रॉम मिस्टर टुंडे.
Yes, you made mention that when we delete from the prompt, we can recover it except some applications. What kind of applications are you talking about?
There are certain tools available in the market. I will let you know the names because those tools are very outdated. Nobody uses nowadays, and I'm not sure whether they will work on RHL 9 or not. But in RHL 7, I have tried those tools. I'm not able to remember the name at this moment. There are certain tools which works on the file system level to recover the files. If those tools are already installed and running, there are chances that you can recover the deleted file. Actually, what happens whenever we execute the rm command, the file is not deleted. The path of the file is deleted or removed from the system. File is still present on the storage. And there are chances that you can recover it. How can you recover it? You can use the recovery tools. Suppose there is a file like there is a file cal 2024.txt and I remove this file by running the rm command. So this file is gone. This file is deleted, but it is not actually deleted. System has deleted the path of this file. File is still available on the storage. And what is the storage? It is available on the root file system here.
Okay.
And this is the partition number 3 of our NVMe hard drive, this partition. So what can we do?
Okay.
We can remove the hard drive from this machine. We can put it in the other machine as a secondary storage, and we can execute the tool, the recovery tool. There are multiple recovery tools available in the market. A lot of are freely available and many are the paid. You can use those recovery tools to recover this data. So it will extract the data from the file system level. The file is still available on the file system. It is recoverable, but it is not recoverable on the Linux machine. On this machine, it is not recoverable. You have to use the tools, the recovery tools. Like Rikuwa, a lot of tools are there in the market. With the help of the recovery tools, you can recover it. But I will also give you the commands that you can use to delete something from the storage. And after running those commands, even the cyber security experts or those people who are the recovery specialists, they won't be able to recover the data. I will give you those commands also.
Okay.
Nobody
Thank
would
you.
be able to restore the data from the disk or from the storage if you execute those commands. There are multiple commands in Linux which can permanently wipe off the storage. Nobody can recover the data, even the NASA guys. You can give your storage to anyone who says that I am the storage specialist or the recovery specialist. He won't be able to recover anything. Why? Because we will override the data there. We will override the data with the random data. So nobody can recover the data if we execute those commands on the storage. I will tell you that as well in the storage management section. Got it?
Thank you.
Okay. Bhupendra Saini. Yes, please ask your
Yeah,
question.
so my question is on the same, like how we can just identify that which user is doing any kind of, is creating the file or reading the file. I mean, let's suppose we have 15 user, normal user, and everyone have the access to the root user. So from the root user, they
From
can
the user
modify.
history. From the user history. Let me show you. Let me switch in the account of the Vikas Nehra user. Okay. So this is the user, which is a normal user. And he is in the suspicious list. I know that this is a problematic guy. He will definitely create some issues in the system. So suppose he is executing some commands like this. He is creating some files also. Okay. So his shell history is showing all the details. And he has done his job. He has logged out. Now I want to check what Vikas Nehra has done. I will simply go to the home directory of this Vikas Nehra user. Here you will not find the history file directly. You will be able to find the files which he created in his home directory. But if you execute the ls-al command there, you will find a file there with the name as bash history. Just open this file.
Okay.
So from here, we can check what he was doing.
No, that's fine. But if the user has the access for the root access, right? And if he change or modify,
that is totally incorrect process or not recommended process that we generally use in our organizations.
that's true.
This is not the standard protocol. You should never give the root access to anyone directly. It is a security breach.
Yeah, but somehow, by some reason, if
In that
he
case, you
doesn't-
can't do anything, because if the guy is very smart, he can delete the history, he can delete the logs as well. You cannot detect what's wrong he has done with the system.
That's mean if he has a user access, he can do anything and he cannot be.
Yes, that I mentioned in the beginning. It is not the correct protocol. You should never give root access to anyone. Even we don't allow the root user to directly do SSH in our machine. What is the standard procedure? The standard procedure is we allow the SSH from the normal user. After that, if he want to become the root user, either he should have the root password and he execute the su command and mention the password, or he should have the sudo privilege and he should execute sudo-su. There are two options. Directly, we do not provide the root password to anyone.
Okay.
The sudo concept is used for that purpose.
Okay.
Let him become root user with his own password through the sudo privilege. In that case, we can identify that who was the user who got the super user privileges, who become the root user and did something wrong in the system. Okay. Second thing, we never give root password to any of the user accounts. We never give it. What we do, we provide the sudo access and we keep the root password safe. And there are multiple tools like CyberArk where the root password is kept. Even if you require the root password from there, you have to give the reason why should you need it. And CyberArk is a tool which not only saves the password, but it keeps a record who has requested for the root password and what was the reason for the root password. So this is the correct process. In financial projects or in production, we never recommend that you should give the root password to any user. That is totally incorrect process. You should never follow it. Even if it is happening in your project, ask your manager just to remove such processes and use the concept of sudo. It is totally illegal. It is banned in financial projects because of this there can be a business loss. There may be some issues with the system. Your production may get down. Okay, if it is happening in your project, ask your manager just to rectify the protocol, rectify such errors. These are the loopholes. Okay.
Okay.
Because root can do anything. You should ideally never give root password to anyone. We are learning it. That's why we are using the root user account. Ideally, we should not use it. We should always use the sudo concept in Linux.
Okay.
ठीक है? Arshad, you can ask.
Sir, what in case like if that suspicious user is working on a machine and that machine is linked to some SIEM server which does the log management? So can it be tracked from that server, SIEM server,
If
or
he,
not possible?
it may be possible if the logs are getting stored on some other remote location, like if we use like we are using the central logging service. So the logs can be we can identify the details of the logs from the other machine. But if he has the access there also, he can create problems for us. He can even remove the service which is running for the logs. He can remove the packages. He can stop the service. He can do anything.
Correct, sir. Yes.
So that's
Yes,
why
correct.
we should never allow the root password to anyone.
Okay, sir.
हमें नहीं देना चाहिए रूट पासवर्ड कभी भी किसी भी यूज़र को. अगर ऐसा हो रहा है किसी के भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, आप बोलिए कि आप सूडो का कॉन्सेप्ट यूज़ करिए, और रूट पासवर्ड की अगर ज़रूरत भी पड़ती है, उसे टूल्स आते हैं, साइबर आर्क है और भी कई सारे हैं, उनका यूज़ करिए, रूट पासवर्ड को वहाँ रखिए. और ये सिंक्रोनाइज होता है. साइबर आर्क एक ऐसा टूल है जो ना केवल पासवर्ड को सेफ रखता है बल्कि ये उसको सिंक्रोनाइज भी करता है. मतलब इट कीप चेंजिंग द रूट पासवर्ड ऑन द सिस्टम. ठीक है? तो आपको पासवर्ड अगर लेना है तो वो पासवर्ड यहीं से निकलेगा फिर, और आपको रीज़न देना होगा प्रॉपर रिटर्न में, और उसके लॉग्स मेंटेन किए जाएंगे. और अगर उस यूज़र की वजह से कोई प्रॉब्लम आती है, ही शुड बी हेल्ड रेस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर दोज प्रॉब्लम्स. ठीक है?
ठीक है सर. थैंक यू.
ओके, लोकेश भाई, यू कैन आस्क.
Sir, I want to know about the path variable you talked about.
आने वाले टाइम में कवर
Like,
करूंगा, अभी चिंता ना करो. अभी मैंने सिर्फ उसका हिंट दिया है आपको. एक्चुअली पाथ वेरिएबल इज रेस्पॉन्सिबल. देखिए, पाथ वेरिएबल की वजह से होता क्या है, हम passwd कमांड चला रहे हैं. सिस्टम को कैसे पता चला कि कौन सी फाइल को एग्जीक्यूट करना है, इस कमांड के लिए कौन सा प्रोग्राम एग्जीक्यूट करना है. तो या तो हम पूरा पाथ दे रहे हैं उसका, लाइक usr bin और passwd. अब मुझे तो पूरा पाथ पता है कि हाँ है इसकी बाइनरी फाइल, लेकिन सिस्टम को भी इसका पूरा पाथ पता है, तभी तो एग्जीक्यूट हो रहा है. तो अगर आप विच कमांड चला रहे हैं तो सिस्टम को पता है ना कि इसकी बाइनरी फाइल कहाँ है, बता दिया उसने हमें.
सर ठीक, हाँ सर ठीक है, लेकिन मुझे अगर चेंज करना है, अगर मुझे कोई बाहर की कमांड ऐड ऑन करनी है उस पाथ वेरिएबल में, तो वो पाथ वेरिएबल की फाइल कहाँ पे होगी?
फाइल नहीं होती,
रूट लेवल पे होगी या यूजर लेवल पे होगी?
फाइल नहीं होती. वेरिएबल इज
मतलब
सेट इन द शेल. व्हाट वी डू एज आई
फाइल में
देखिए,
okay.
हम यहाँ पर करते हैं इसको, तो ये यहाँ पर लोड हुआ है कहीं से, किसी फाइल से लोड हुआ है. दिस पाथ वेरिएबल विच इज शोइंग अप हियर, इट इज़ लोडेड फ्रॉम समवेयर. तो वो प्रोफाइल फाइल्स का पार्ट है. मैं बताऊंगा आपको कि प्रोफाइल फाइल से कैसे लोड होता है. तो ये वेरिएबल है, इसको आप अगर मैनुअली सेट कर देंगे तो ये काम करेगा, लेकिन ये टेम्परेरी होगा. टू मेक इट परमानेंट, आइदर यू कैन मेक एन एंट्री इन दी bash rc file which is there in the home directory of that particular user account, this one, or there is a file etc profile. अब इनमें डिफरेंस क्या है? व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? ये जो bash rc है, ये तो लोकल, ये तो उस यूजर के लिए हो गई. ये सिस्टम वाइड होती है etc प्रोफाइल. इट इज फॉर ऑल द यूजर्स.
ओके, इसके लिए रूट प्रिविलेजेस चाहिए होंगे हमें चेंज करने के लिए.
करेक्ट. तो पाथ वेरिएबल को आपको नहीं छेड़ना है जब तक ज़रूरी ना हो. आप यहाँ चेक कर सकते हैं. देखिए, मैं दिखा देता हूँ. ये आने वाली चीज़ों का पार्ट है, आने वाले टॉपिक्स में हम कवर करेंगे. देखिए, यहाँ से लोड होता है.
ओके सर,
गॉट इट?
थैंक यू सर. हाँ ओके.
ये बहुत डीप एंड डाइव वाली चीज़ें हैं, कोई नहीं बताएगा। अगर आप कहीं से भी ट्रेनिंग ले लो, शॉर्टकट में निपटाते हैं लोग। ये मैंने खुद एक्सप्लोर कर करके सीखा है। इट टेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम एंड लॉट ऑफ एफर्ट इन लर्निंग लिनक्स डीपली। जितना अंदर जाओगे उतने ज़्यादा चीज़ें समझ में आएंगी। ठीक है, यस अमन।
Yes, sir. I just wanted to know, you talked about pseudo concept and we didn't see it. Will we cover it in the
Yes,
future?
yes.
Or
We have only conducted 3 sessions so far. In the upcoming
okay,
days, once we will start with the user management, there I will cover the pseudoers concept.
okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Welcome. Mohammad Saeed Ali, do you have any questions? Are you there on the call? Mohammad Shaheed. Okay, I think he is not available right now. Okay, any other one? Any other guy who is there to ask the questions? Is there someone who want to ask any questions? Okay, so that's it from my side for today's session. In the upcoming days, we will cover up the control operators, input output redirection, user management, permission management, process management. So those things we are going to cover up in the upcoming sessions. So that's it from my side for today's session. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining the session. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. IST. Till then, bye bye, good night, and take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.